We are tonight going to be talking mostly about frankincense, but that will cover several different aspects of what it does. So we have immune support, skin support, emotional support, and then when other things come up. So I just hope by the end of this time, and it probably will be like 30 minutes or so, because I think all of you on here know the basics of using essential oils, that we can use them aromatically, topically. Most of doTERRA oils are internally, unless it says not for internal use on the bottle. And that you can get a resource to figure out what to use. So there are some books. So if there's old school people that like books, there's like lots of different reference books, kind of like doctors use, or others, they're looking up like different drugs or whatever. You can look up the oils, look up what they show they're good for, how to use them, what kind of chemical constituents are in there. I mostly use an app to kind of do my own research, and then I do a lot of stuff on Google. So we're actually going to go through maybe some frankincense, but also how to find solutions, for yourself, or if you have an oil, like what can I use this for? It's just sitting here. What else can I do with it? And then as well as if you've used frankincense and you have like a testimonial or something you've used it for or successful with, or if you have questions about, feel free to do that. The other thing is there's a lot of products that have frankincense in there. So in addition to those, we'll talk about some of those as well. So while we're going, as we get started, is there anybody that wants to start off with maybe a favorite use of frankincense for those who have used it? What have you used it for? Would like to start there, as I'm going to figure out how to share my phone screen. Screen. Don't be shy.
Well, I like to use it for pain, inflammation. I also like to use it for wound healing. I cut myself the other day, and frankincense with some lavender and melaleuca works really well. Also just for daily cellular health, a drop under my tongue, or I take it soft gel in DDR prime.
Okay, so you mentioned a few of the different ones.
I'm more of the internal frankincense user. I understand, and I believe the science that suggests or that states how well it does against abnormal cells.
Mm-hmm.
Can we not compliant though? So can I say the C word or no?
Yeah, I'm not posting this out anywhere. I mean, there might be a replay and it'll probably get taken down after a few days, just so you're aware.
Okay. So yeah, so there's a lot of science out there that shows that it affects cancer cells in very many different ways, and definitely is a protector against the big C.
Right. And supports genetic repair and protects the DNA. So yeah, kind of goes along with yours.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. And I just remember so one of the owners of doTERRA is, I don't know if this is going to let me share my screen. No, it might have to be the whole screen. But Dr. Hill is one of the owners of doTERRA, and I just remember going to one of the events that he was talking about frankincense specifically, and the new, they had just barely come out with, it's called DDR Prime. And this is a cellular complex, and it has frankincense in it with some other essential oils in there. And he was talking about how there's 3 main things that a cell does. So whether that's an eye cell, liver cell, skin cell, that it performs a specialized function. So depending on, if it's a skin cell, it does certain things. If it's a blood cell, it does certain things. And so it can do that, but it should also be able to duplicate itself, repair itself. So like if it gets damaged, it can like kind of repair itself. And our skin cells are duplicating quickly. Our blood cells takes about 90 days for them to all turn over. Liver cells takes a lot longer. And you can just Google this, like how long does these cells take to like rejuvenate, right? To that cell turnover. And then he said the other thing that they should do is that when they are beyond repair, they should self-destruct, which is called apoptosis. And what he was talking about is how when we have cells that don't, like something in like the coding of it, it doesn't self-destruct. Instead, you start having cells that are mutating and proliferating in this damaged form. So yes, it's the big C, right? Like that's what's happening when people have cancer, is that it's our own body doing this thing. It's not like some foreign invader. It's our own body that is malfunctioned in some way. And so it was interesting how he was pulling in research, which like we can't do. Like back in the day, we were talking a little more openly about these things, but the research out there as far as what some essential oils can help do. Frankincense is one of those, and the essential oils that was put in this DDR blend that help support from a cellular level. It helps remind the cell what it's supposed to do. It can help trigger that apoptosis, so the cell will, stop mutating in a destructive form. Help it to repair if it can repair, help it to proliferate in like a healthy manner. And so the essential oils can really help, and especially frankincense. And let me find what Dr. I think this is Dr. Osgathorpe. He works for doTERRA, and he said, and I liked how he put it about frankincense. I thought it was pretty powerful. Let me find it. I'm almost there. Scroll. He said, let's see. So frankincense is the Swiss Army knife of, this is Dr. Riggs, of essential oils. It has a broad variety of chemistry, which we're going to talk a little bit about, that it can do almost anything. This is why when we don't know what oil to use, we will often use frankincense. And he says the root cause of every disease is cellular malfunction caused by damage to the DNA, and frankincense helps reprogram the DNA. Powerful. So think of like some of the things that you might be dealing with or family members are dealing with. The root cause, think about that. It's on a cellular level. If your cells, wherever they are working optimally as they should, you wouldn't be experiencing these things. Yes, sometimes we, have some inflammation. That's normal. That's part of our immune system. We get foreign invaders, some bacteria or fungus or viruses, like our bodies, the immune system will, react to that, but that's normal. But when we have these other things where it's not going away, right? Where a lot of people are dealing with chronic disease, especially in the United States, and it's just getting worse and worse. So how powerful that is that we have something natural that doesn't have the side effects, the addictions that many other things do. I mean, we have so much money being spent on like cancer research, but you think about like 20 years ago, do we have less cancer? Like there have been some breakthroughs on a few specific cancer types, but for the most part, every single type is up. Every single one, even though we pumped millions and millions of dollars in this type of research. And so it comes back down and thinking like, what do we know? Like just what kind of knowing do we know to be true? Like I know that my body is amazing, can function, like it's been doing these things since I was born. Like I wasn't born with some genetic defect or something like that. For most of us, we don't have that. That some of the things that we start dealing with are later on. It's our DNA maybe starting to express, genes starting to express because of some kind of trigger, right? So if we can turn off those triggers, if we reprogram the DNA, that we can have kind of this reversal of some of the things that we're dealing with. And that's what I love about essential oils. I love what we're doing is because it brings so much hope and so much empowerment that I have more power to do things because I take 100% responsibility for myself and my actions, knowing that, there's some things that I do that aren't the best, and I will pay for those things. And so thinking about frankincense in that way, I did want to share a little bit of nerdy chemistry. So I went to doTERRA and they were doing a biochemistry class. Anybody taking biochemistry? I think, right. Okay, Faye, yes, our nutritionist. Anyone else? Oh, Debbie, okay. Anybody else?
I did
Okay.
when I was in college.
Yeah. Like, let's see, a long time ago. So we literally went in and we were taking marshmallows and toothpicks and we were building replicas of some of the compounds that are in different essential oils. So for instance, in frankincense, a component or a chemical structure that's in there is called limonene. And essential oils are mostly made of carbon and hydrogen. And there's just certain chemical bonds, and depending on how they form together, like you get different, they do different things, right? So limonene, for instance, which is high in citrus oil. So think about like your lemon, your tangerine, wild orange, your citrus oils. But also frankincense has limonene in it, that it's well studied, probably the most studied chemical constituent, which is limonene. And it helps to lift your mood. Who does not need that? Like, think of our crazy times and probably think of your own life. Like, who does not need that? Something so simple that I could use an essential oil, smell the chemical, which is limonene that's in there, and have this immediate pick me up. The other thing, common thing that limonene does is it helps with healthy fat metabolism. What is one of the major diseases, problems that we have in America? Metabolic syndrome. Yeah. And it's not just about weight. Like you have skinny people who have metabolic syndrome.
That have high fat.
That have
Yep.
high fat. You wouldn't know it, by looking at like mass wise, but exactly. So there's so much more than just like weight that goes into metabolic syndrome. It might be high blood pressure. How many people do you know, or even yourself, who might be on blood pressure medication, or who's
High
on
cholesterol, right?
cholesterol, right? Who has high cholesterol. You might see this in the sign of lack of energy, right? That can be another sign. If we're not metabolizing the nutrients in the food and our body's not doing and having all of that in place as it should be, you might see that. You might start seeing brain fog, not being able to think as clearly. So limonene in frankincense is awesome, and other essential oils. Another one that's in there is called alpha pinene. Sometimes we go to these doTERRA conventions and they'll shout out these like words. And I'm like, I have no idea what that is. But I've heard alpha pinene a lot. Alpha pinene, carbon and hydrogen. It's a little bit more complex. You can see these molecules that have bonded together. Some of them have these double bonds. But this in frankincense is also great for lifting your mood. And another benefit from alpha pinene is skin support. So think about what kind of skin challenges you may have. I know there's a lot of people who deal with skin cancer or, wrinkles or, age spots or other kind of skin issues. So this is very, very good natural support for your skin. So I had a friend who, and I think some of you have heard this story, but when she was younger, probably in her 20s, she had gotten, I don't even remember what kind of cancer it was, but she ended up going through some radiation treatment, and then kind of in her 30s, 40s, started developing like skin cancer spots. And so she would just regularly go into the dermatologist and he would burn those off. And then she came to an essential oil class and started researching, because she's a nurse, and just like research. And I'm like, oh, and she found frankincense, and she's like, I wonder, because from my research and what I'm reading about this on like PubMed, like government published, research, this might help with that. And so she started putting frankincense, it was mostly on the back of her neck, on these spots. And then she had just a regular appointment. I think it was like every 6 months she'd go to the dermatologist, and he was checking those spots. He's like, they're like the ones that were there were shrinking. He said, continue doing what you're doing. And so the frankincense started to shrink those, and she was able to manage that. Now she kind of rotates between frankincense and sandalwood. Because sometimes if you use something consistently for too long, your body will just kind of have a little rejection of it. Like, I need time off from that. And then just knowing there's so many other essential oils that you can kind of swap out. So that was her way of using it. Another cool thing about frankincense is that it has what's called sesquiterpenes. Now, what is that? Well, these are chemical bonds that are a little bit tighter and is a little bit more dense and heavy. So if you've used lemon comes out of your bottle really, really fast. Try to get one drop, you probably get 2 or 3, right? Because it's a lot lighter. The chemical structure of lemon is a lot lighter, the chemicals that are in there. Frankincense has a good combination of some of those lighter notes, but also has these heavier molecules. So sesquiterpenes are a little bit heavier, but one of the really cool things about sesquiterpenes that are found in frankincense is that it's one of the very few chemicals that will pass the blood-brain barrier. Now let's think about this. Like, why could that be helpful if you have something that might help support brain? Like, what kind of things have you heard or thought of with frankincense and the brain? I know Faye has all the answers.
Memory.
Memory. Debbie, I know you know the story of the former CEO, David Sterling's daughter. Yes? No?
Yeah.
Epilepsy.
Seizures.
Seizures. Yeah. I'm gonna see if I can
Good for
share.
cognitive functioning too.
Right,
Cognitive functioning.
dementia.
Yeah.
Also.
Okay, so for those who are doTERRA wellness advocates, you can have access to this group and probably till it gets shut down, but I'm going to share with you in this group some testimonials of people with frankincense. Let's see, airplay.
And while you're doing that, Stacy, I'd also like to offer a video that really does a great job of explaining. It's called The 5 Ways in Which Frankincense Combats Cancer. And there's some great graphics in there, and it's done by a doctor who's doesn't work for doTERRA. So it's kind of third party. But if you ever want to have that, just request it from us and we'll send it to you.
Okay, can you see my screen, my phone screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so in this, so some of the research I do, like sometimes I'll just go to Google and I'll start researching, but then you have to kind of dig deep in there. There might be a link to like a research study, and then you want to go read that. But I mean, they're pretty awful to read.
What
But,
app is this on?
this is a Facebook group, the product testimonial group.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
just doing a search in this group for frankincense, and that's a pretty cool story. I won't share it, but I do. Let's see. So let's take a look at this one here. And she just talks about she had developed breast cancer, and like through her chemo, she was also using essential oils, was doing frankincense and lemongrass, which is another great, there's some really good chemical constituents in there. Was applying that topically. The tumors, when she went back to the doctor, they had shrunk more than they thought, but they couldn't see them. But the radiologist was like pretty sure they were there, but ultimately they were not there. But she said, since I'm a Christian and had many people praying for me, I still wasn't entirely convinced that the oils had helped, but I'm sure they didn't hurt. But my turning point was when I started using my oils with other problems and continuing to see results. The main one being my husband's knees. He has had problems with severe knee pain most of his life, which was slowly getting worse over the years. I started rubbing oils on his knees daily, and after approximately 2 months, we began to see a huge difference. His knee pain slowly began to ease for the first time in over 10 years. He could actually bend his knee enough to cross his legs when he sat down. So, like, not saying that those oils were helpful, but like she said, they weren't hurtful. But then she's had other experiences like, I know, like these oils are pretty powerful. So again, on like for his knees, the power on a cellular level, something that he was dealing with for years, right? And was probably using maybe Tylenol or ibuprofen. Some of that's a lot of what people do, or they just suck it up and deal with the pain. But she was proactive, decided, hey, I'm going to try doing this. And it did take 2 months before they started seeing the huge difference. That it does take some time. Think about, it's taken time for our cells to not function optimally. It's going to take time to, to deal with that. Another one. So this was a friend had given a person had given her friend a sample of frankincense. She was dealing with migraines. And this is what she said. It's been days and I've been thinking about writing you to thank you for the oil. I was starting to have migraines. I was out of my home, no medication in my purse, but then I remembered I had your oil in my purse. I went straight with 1 drop under the tongue, but I think I ended up getting 2, no problem. Well, it is the oil, what? It is oil and it was hard to swallow, but then I had some water. I was so impressed with the immediate results. So again, like this one, yes, she was experiencing pain, inflammation, that constricting within her brain, and something so immediate that she could use. Now, is this always the case? Some of us, we've had migraines or we've had headaches or we've had like pain and we've tried some things and maybe it hasn't worked like with essential oils. I'm not claiming that everything is just immediate. Sometimes it takes more work, it takes some switching things out, or maybe it's consistency for a longer period of time. But we have some options. So I think just one more here in this one. Let's see. So she was just talking about how she was trying to keep it compliant. I was really struggling with SAD and needed something to help with my mood. I used frankincense and wild orange under my tongue, and it's just the boost that she needed. This is the one that I was thinking of right here. So Kelly, frankincense was the oil that began our journey to help our daughter with special needs who had been suffering with seizures since she was 6 years old. And so they were using Lifelong Vitality, which is doTERRA supplements. One of those bottles of the supplements, because there's 3 bottles, one of them does contain essential oils, and one of those oils is frankincense. They made some diet changes. Frankincense was one of the missing puzzle pieces to support her neurological system, reduce the frequency, and at 38 years of age, she's been free of activity for over 2 years. So there's some really powerful experiences in there, but it's totally uncompliant. We not supposed to be sharing that, but I mean, you have to know this is what people are experiencing. So if you're dealing with some of those things, or you're thinking, I want preventative care, right? Like I want to do something to not be, like live a crazy lifestyle or and then now I'm dealing with this and now I'm going to go into emergency mode and start taking care of something, right? The best time to deal with it is like now. Like what habits do you have that you could change, replace, that would help support a healthy body? One of those could be frankincense on a daily basis. That's something that I get every single day because I do use the Lifelong Vitality supplement. So I'm taking that every day. I've been taking that for the past 14 years. Most of my family takes that. I've experienced, less pain, inflammation, better mood management, and definitely more energy. But I also have to be, let you be aware that you're going to have changes in life, right? Like I'm turning 50 in a month and a half. Like you're going to also be seeing signs of aging. So there might still things be coming up. This is not going to create immortality for us, right? However, it's going to make sure that I know, wouldn't it be fascinating? We could have that thing that I don't know if you want to live forever here in this
No,
world.
I just want my 19-year-old body back.
That'd be sweet. But here's what's interesting is that people are starting, because now we have like the technology to kind of test people's biological age versus their, what's the other word for that? Biological age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
how are your cells manifesting? Like what age? And there are people who are having a reversal in their biological age. And it's not just happenstance. They are doing things proactively that are helping to do that. So a lot of people are using like MetaPower, like the collagen, NMN drink, the frankincense supplements, changing their lifestyle. So pairing nutrition supplements with exercise and movement, it creates like exponential results. But sometimes if you're not feeling up to that, like you can start with taking frankincense. You can put it in a capsule and take it that way if you want to take it internally. You can put a couple of drops under your tongue and just let it sit there for about 30 seconds and then swallow. And the under your tongue is probably the most effective way to get it to absorb the fastest into your body instead of taking it and having it go down into your stomach. Just under your tongue sublingually is is phenomenal. Some people do not like the taste of it. It's not yummy. So if you're one of those that has like a gag reflex, you won't want to do it. But I've kind of worked up to like, I could probably do about anything. So that would be a simple thing. Like a lot of you have frankincense. How many of you have frankincense? Put in the chat if you have frankincense. And I want all of you to answer. So if you're on your phone, like clue in with us, click in here and go ahead and put that. If you don't, go ahead. I don't have it yet. I hope I'm convincing you. This is the one, if none other, this is the one that you'll definitely want to have on hand. They usually do a promotion in December. Nunya, you gotta get that one. They usually do a promotion in December where you can get a free bottle of frankincense because it is a little more expensive. So just be aware, pay attention. They might do that. I think they've done it like every single year that I've been in doTERRA. I receive a bottle every single month. I would love to hear what you're using it for if you're getting it every single month. Virginia, Nunya, Erica, awesome. Okay. Allison, yes, been using it daily. Gargle, oh yeah. There's just so many things. Like if you're really seriously in doubt. So I've had, I think I told some of you last, I have some root canals that have gone bad. They're leaking, they're infected. I have to have teeth extracted. And so that was one of the ones that I have been using topically. I've also put, I don't know if you've ever heard of oil pulling. So that's where you use like coconut oil and you put that in your mouth and then you can put some oils in there with it. I put frankincense and myrrh, and then I have like my oregano and on guard and lemon, there's a bunch of oils, and you just kind of swish it in your mouth. You don't swallow it, but it starts pulling out the toxins, can help detox your body. And so I've been doing that every single day. Now I have not had antibiotics. And this is how I've been able to manage it. Like I feel amazing. But that was one of the ones that I had been using. So Erica, yeah, okay. So on your breasts, yes. So I don't know if you're being proactive or if there's something that's been going on, but that is another one that a lot of women will do, is that that is a great support for the breast tissue being healthy. So just be aware of that. You will want to dilute it if you're using it regularly on your skin. It's one you can put on your skin neat. So that term neat means just straight on your skin. But if you're going to be using it much and you really want it to stay in that location, I recommend that you dilute it. So you can use fractionated coconut oil. I don't have any here, but why a lot of people use fractionated coconut oil is it doesn't smell, even though you may love coconut oil, but it doesn't have any odor and it doesn't create a residue. So if it touches your skin, so if you're putting it, on your body where it's going to be touching your clothes, it can kind of stain your clothes. And so that's why people will often use fractionated coconut oil. Now, I really, really love organic castor oil for things. So I've been using that as well because that infection kind of went into my throat and into my sinuses. And so I will put castor oil on those areas and then put the layer the oils as well. But it's in areas where it's not going to be getting on my clothes. So, yes, clear up lumps, now using proactively diluted. Awesome. Good for you. That's awesome. So yeah, my mom went through breast cancer prior to knowing anything about doTERRA, and they had put her on like a lifetime of drugs. She's finally just of her own. She's like, I am not taking those. They're expensive. I don't feel well. I don't know what the crud they do. There's all these list of side effects. So she just axed that, and she's been just proactive about lifelong vitality, doing certain things like you're saying. Okay. Let me see, anything else? So the other oils that frankincense are in, so if you might have these or think about any of these. So Air X is one that is a diffuser blend. It smells awesome. It helps to purify the air. So it's in there. It's in Anchor, which is one of the yoga blends. Balance. Oh, anybody use Balance? Debbie, what do you use Balance for? Nunya, Balance for? What do you guys use it for?
I use it for mood. I diffuse it a lot at night. I'm a little off put by the sweetness of Serenity these days, so I help pull it down those floral notes with the woody of the Balance, and that works nicely.
Awesome. Yeah,
It's
and
all
I like that you
stressful
bring that up.
days.
Stress of the day. So she's a therapist. I cannot even imagine. Plus has kids, plus has a spouse, plus lives in California. Like there's stresses. For sure.
It's messy.
Yeah. And so, and I like how you mentioned how like you don't love the floral notes. Like I'm the same way. Like I don't. And so knowing you have options too, right? Especially if you're diffusing something, it would be nice if you like the smell of it. So if there's one you don't love, it can go on your feet. So Nunya puts it on the bottom of her feet.
Mhm.
Diffusing is great. Yep. So Erica, diffuse after work. So it can be very calming after there on the bottom of your feet. It can absorb. It's very grounding, helpful in that way. Again, has frankincense in it. We talked about DDR prime. So DDR prime comes in a capsule. So these are capsules with the oil in it. So you can take it internally without tasting it because it doesn't taste good. But there is actually a 15 milliliter bottle of DDR prime that you can also buy. So you could put it on topically, you could infuse it, you could put some drops under your tongue. It's a little bit spicy.
Do you know how many drops are in those gel caps?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't.
3 or 4?
3.
Is it
It's
3?
3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
if you're wanting to make your own and not buy these, or if you have a bottle of it, 3 would be the dose.
Okay. Thanks.
DDR prime is used for, I think you might have missed the beginning of this, but this is really cellular support. So think all disease in our body really stems from cells malfunctioning, right? Not doing what they know how to do. So this is something that helps remind ourselves of what they should be doing. So there are a lot of people who are taking it on a regular basis because they've dealt with something or are dealing with something that they're in that space of, I've got these malfunctioning cells. And so that's why people are using that. Some other ones, there's Holiday Joy, Holiday Peace. So those come out in like December-ish, November, December. So watch for that because they're just like temporary items. They smell awesome and they definitely put you in the mood for the holidays. Hope is another one. Higgy, I don't even say it right. Somebody say that. Hug. If it comes out somewhere, you'll hear it. It's like a Scandinavian word or something.
Yeah.
Immortel. Anybody use Immortel? Anybody have experience with Immortel? Okay. Anybody want to share an experience with that? What it is? I'm gonna use it.
It's a beautiful blend. It's got all the powerhouse oils in it: frankincense, rose, helichrysum, lavender, and what's the last one? Is it?
Did you say frankincense? Frankincense?
Yeah.
Sandalwood?
Frankincense,
Helichrysum?
Does it have sandalwood?
I
think
don't
it's,
know. I don't have it sitting here.
Yeah, frankincense, rose, helichrysum, lavender, and is it sandalwood? I think so.
Google
But-
it.
Yeah, it is one of the more expensive blends, but if you were to add up all those individual oils, it would be like $500. And so it's just wonderful for skin, things skin renewal, it's repair. You can again, any kind of skin issue, of eyes. I know a lot of people use it for eye support, whether it's improving eyesight or even helping with glaucoma, I've heard, right? I've used it on joints like swollen, sprained ankle, right? So it's, good for bringing down inflammation, helps with pain. I've helped someone who has irritable bowel syndrome actually use it internally, helped stop bleeding, helped repair the cells. So
Wow.
just
Yeah. It's a powerhouse. So the list is frankincense, lavender, sandalwood, myrrh, helichrysum, rose. Poof.
There you go. Power oils.
Power
So
oil.
my kid decided to do a face plant into the mirror of a van. And got this giant knot on her head.
Yeah.
And you remember that? One of the oils we put on there was Immortelle. And you know, she was a little dizzy for a while after that, and sat still for a while, and then never developed a bruise. The swelling went down. It looked like she was building a baseball here. And the Immortelle just fixed that right up.
Yeah, it's another one like, oh my gosh, one I wouldn't want to do without. Yeah, because our daughter just went down a slide head first, like a ding dong, and just went straight into the bottom. She kind of
Hey.
scalped herself, like lost a lot of hair. And then it's not like deep, but it's like disgusting. And so started putting, that on, after cleaning it up. And by the way, On Guard is amazing. If you have On Guard, it's amazing at stopping bleeding. And it's a great like cleaning out type thing. And it kind of numbs things up. You think it'd sting, but it actually numbs it up. So that I put that on after, cleaning it up, and then put on some Immortelle, and she had a knot, and it just was like almost nothing. So pretty amazing to have those. But again, just from a cellular level, it's helping to support the cells to know what to do. Okay, any questions about frankincense? I will show you just one more page and as we wrap up, but is there any questions about it? Or, immune. So I do want to share this with you. Where is it at? Oh, it's in here. Okay, I'll share this with you and be thinking. I need to share my screen. Share the whole screen again. And here we go. Okay. So this is the Modern Essentials app. So you can get apps that you can look up the oils. They'll tell you what to do. So frankincense from doTERRA, it's made of 3 different, I think there's actually 4, maybe it's 3 different species of frankincense. But it will just goes through, give you some quick common uses of this. Like you see a ton of very big things, right? Totally not compliant. Like the FDA, FTC will be like, oh my gosh, you can't say that. We can't say that, even though there's studies that show support. You just can't say that. But down here, it does talk about some of these things, like possible other uses that it can be used for. And it does talk about, it contains that, sesquiterpenes enable it to go beyond the blood-brain barrier. It may also help oxygenate the pineal and pituitary glands. So if you don't know what these are or what they do, you can go ahead and Google that and see like why that would be important. Increase the activity of leukocytes. So leukocytes, I was like, oh, what are leukocytes? So what do? You Google it, right? Here we go.
Immune system.
Yes. So your leukocytes, also known as white blood cells, are a type of blood cell that are part of the body's immune system to help fight infection and disease. So this is often what I'll do because I'm like, oh, I might have learned that back whenever, I don't remember. So just look it up, right? But this just helps you to see that frankincense from a cellular level can help support your immune system. So I love that. Yeah, there's lots of other things on here. It does say that frankincense oil is approved by the FDA for use as a food additive. That's about it, but we can't say all these other things. Okay, so you're aware.
Right. One way I love to diffuse it, my grandson has really bad allergies, and we have a dog. So kind of hard to get around some of the fur and all of that. And so I diffuse frankincense with lemon, lavender, and peppermint, and it's just amazing. His nose will be runny and, constantly sniffing and coughing, and I'll diffuse that, and in a short amount of time, he's fine. He's doing just fine. And I find that because I know like our tri-E's for allergies is lemon, lavender, and peppermint, but I find adding that frankincense really makes a big difference.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of that booster that if you have it on hand, and it doesn't take a lot, that's the thing, right? You can put a drop
And
in.
you didn't mention frankincense is in the kids blend stronger.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Did I?
which
That's
is a
not right.
wonderful blend even for adults.
So stronger is kind of like, yeah, that was the last one. So, oh, In Tune. So we got to Immortelle, got sidetracked. In Tune, which I know Joel likes his In Tune. It's a very great for focus, right? Midnight Forest is another like diffuser blend. Northern Escape, a diffuser blend. They smell awesome. Oh, Past Tense. I still have roller bottles of Past Tense. This does not come in a roller bottle anymore. But this is kind of my forced go-to for headachy things, migrainey things. But then I found it was great for a lot of other pain things.
Bumps,
then-
bruises, yeah.
Bumps, bruises, and it's real. This is like a really inexpensive oil. And then Stronger was the last one. Yes. Oh, it's such a good oil to have. So if you have that on hand, you know, be using it, experiment with it, play around with it. Don't be afraid of it. It smells a little different. For those who are, I don't know if it's like Catholic, with diffuse, what do they do? The incense. I know many people that I've taught, they're like, oh, that smells so familiar. But it is just a really powerful oil. So any questions before we wrap up here?
I'd say figure out, everyone on this call, one way that frankincense can benefit you, because we listed so many different ways, but kind of focus in maybe on one or
One.
two priorities, and it will.
Put those in the
really-
chat. Everyone is on. No ignoring us. We have a former professor in the house. She'll be on your case. Okay. Tell us one way that you will use frankincense or would like to use frankincense, focus on, or continue using it. How does it remind cells how to function properly? So this goes a little bit deeper, like while you guys are posting in your things, is the essential oils, because they're organic compounds, there's kind of like us as living things, there's communication that goes on. And I kind of think of it like with plants out in the environment, there's this give and take, like pollen goes out and that's kind of communication to, hey, bees, you know, come smell me, come do your thing. So they've found through research that it's very much the same, as it can wake up things. It can trigger that memory, the cellular memory of what it should do. And I don't know if you've like studied anything about epigenetics, with where we think of kind of our genes as they have kind of like little locks to them, where we used to think like, okay, if you're predisposed to this, you'll probably get this. This is why I have this. This is, you know, I have a family history of this. But they're finding more and more that there are triggers that can either turn on genes. There are triggers that can downregulate genes. So there's this communication going on. And that can be lifestyle choices, can be communication with our body of doing things, don't do things, just like chemicals or toxins are giving communication and doing damage to our bodies. But they found the essential oils, and I believe because they are natural, they're from the earth, that we have like just when we eat food and our body know what to do with it, right? That there's that communication and that is involved. So they're just finding that there is communication with these molecules within the essential oils and our cells. And so that's what they're finding through research, is like what chemical constituents within this oil, because there's generally hundreds of them and some of them aren't even known or established like what they are. But when they do the testing on them, it's called a GCMS. It will show most of those oils, and there will be some are constituents. So like lavender is really high in, say, limonene, which is a constituent. And that chemical, when it is breathed in, taken into our bodies, it communicates a sense of calm to our body, like calm down. That's what they're showing, like, is our normal natural reaction for most people to that chemical constituent. But we know it's like a combination of the things that are in lavender. So there is just like this communication pathway that goes on. And so some of those oils help to upregulate things. So like immune system support can also downregulate. So if our immune system, think autoimmune diseases where it might be overstimulated, that it can help downregulate some of those things. And so lots of research is going on. We're still learning so many things about this, but that's where like, go jump into Google, like go look for if you're into that geeking out type thing, like go look at the research studies that are taking place, that are going on. Because we're still learning so much about how these natural compounds can be used effectively to help support us. Swelling ankles, for breast, migraines, okay, daily oral topical, okay. So just be thinking like one thing, especially if you have them, if nothing else, just put a drop under your tongue every day. Like set frankincense out next to, like if you're taking supplements or if you eat breakfast, drink on whatever that is, right? Like whatever your habit is, buy your toothbrush, just that would be an easy way to get frankincense on a daily basis.